I'm going to cover the macro structure of Hebrews, at least some various thoughts on it, and then the catena and the exordium. The exordium is the introduction, happens here, and here's the catena. I'll cover that on a different page. But big macro structure, one way that Jim Hamilton likes to look at it is 1 through 2 is the revelation that God gave that God gave. So it's all dealing with revelation in one sense or another, and then 12 through 13 is the mountain of God. So think about the revelation used to be given on Mount Sinai, so that's Hebrews 2, 2, 1 through 4 is talking about that, and then the better mountain is 12 through 13. And then he puts 5, so everybody agrees on this, so George Guthrie pointed out a long time ago that 2, 14 through 16 stands over across from 10, 19 through 25. And these are overlapping transitions. And they mark out the main central section. So that means then we could look at chapter 3 through 4 as another middle unit there. It's like the middle ring. And that's talking about the better Moses. And then Jim Hamilton points out that sending across from that is 11 through 12. Is chapters 10, 19. So 10, 19 through 11, which is talking about the better inheritance. So a better Moses, a better inheritance. So then that would put the middle being like the center of the chiasm. And middle then is the person and work of Christ, right? So the person starts out in 4:14 right here. This is an overlapping transition, right? So it also links up with what went before, because remember, he introduces Jesus as a faithful high priest fairly early on, a merciful and faithful high priest, right? So first he talks about him being a faithful high priest, and that's contrasted with the faithlessness of the people, right? But now we have so now he's going to talk about the person and work of Christ. So he's doing the main line of thought is on the person. Then he takes a big parenthesis here. So look at the last word here in the order of Melchizedek, last word, order of Melchizedek. And then he just picks right up on his line of thought for this Melchizedek, king of Salem. So it's like you could really take out this passage here, and it would basically still work in terms of the line of argumentation. So it's pretty clear that that's meant to be read as a unit. That stands over across from, so yeah, there's also these other little markers. So if you look at 5, 1 through 3, that's talking about the weakness, and a few other key words make it an inclusia with 7, 26 through 29. So it's pretty clear that he sort of saw this as like one unit, and then he has these overlapping transitions here. But there's also like this overlapping transition that happens here in 8, 1 through 6. So, in one way of looking at it, this is the start of the whole section on the work of Christ, 8, 1 through 10, 19, over here. So this is like all the work of Christ. To zoom out, it's 3 columns here. But what I was going to say, but then also it's the center of the whole book, which is why he says, now the point in what we are writing is this. So it's like the middle of the Venn diagram, if you will. This thing here talks about his ministry as well, but also talking about the person. But we have such a great high priest. So it's the person and the work of Christ kind of all in one little section. And so it's the middle of the book, 8, 1 through 6. And then I'm not going to go into it in this video. I like Jim Hamilton's chiasm on this middle section here, where he sees the quote here of the New Covenant standing across from these quotations here, which is another quote of the New Covenant as forming the outer ring. I guess I'll go through a little bit. Then he says there's like a whole section on the first versus the second, which is contrasted with the other one over here. And there's like the offerings of the different covenants, and then there's the inauguration of the covenant at the very middle. The mediator of a new covenant. It's the place where the ESV talks about it as a will. I won't go into it in this video, but okay. So that's the big structure. We went from the outer rings to the very middle of the book. Another interesting macro pattern is the prosopological perspective. And so if you notice, all the quotations are put first in the lips of the Father to the Son. So that's starting out here. And this happens, it's going to repeat. It's going to go Father, Son, Spirit, Father, Son, Spirit. The Father speaking to the Son as inter-Trinitarian dialogue, and then the Son speaking to the Father. And then the Holy Spirit speaking to us. So big picture perspective. Here's the quotes of the Son speaking to, of the Father speaking to the Son. And then it starts out here of the Son speaking to the Father. And then here's the Spirit speaking to us. Then it's going to repeat again with the Father speaking to the Son. You have a Son today, I've begotten you. And then, wait, hold on a second. Yeah, this is continuing it. The Father speaking to the Son. And then where does it go? Yeah, here it is. This interesting quote here. The only, probably the main passage, not the only, but the interesting passage talking about the incarnation. A body you have prepared for me. And then the Spirit speaking to us, right? So sacrifices and offerings you have not desired. So he's talking to the Father, that's inter-Trinitarian. But then this is the Holy Spirit speaking to us. So that's a pretty cool little macro structure. Nothing else to say in terms of macro structure here. Let me pull in some thoughts about the exordium and the catena. So on the exordium, before I forget this, the coolest, I forgot one more macro thought. I guess I don't need to go into it here. I can look at it somewhere else, which is here, the warning passages. So George Guthrie, in his commentary, I guess I don't need to go into it too much here, but he sees there being 5 warning passages, and so does O'Brien, but they differ on what the second one is. So the first one, I'll just pull it out from the Panorama Bible. Actually, I don't use this one here. So the first one is pretty obvious. Everyone agrees. 2, 1 through 4 kicks off this super strong paranetic exhortatory warning language. So this is the first one. This is the first warning passage. 2, 1 through 4. Where that they disagree on where the second one is should it be 3, 12 through 13 or 4, 12 through 13? So take care, brothers, lest there be in any of you an evil, unbelieving heart to fall away from the living God. So you could see it as this, and just more generally, this warning from the wilderness generation. Alternatively, you could see it as 12 through 13. You know, it is a sword, no creature is hidden from its sight. So O'Brien sees it as 3:12, like he identifies the warning passage here. Guthrie identifies it here. And I'm inclined to go with O'Brien on this one. In any case, that would leave there being the third and middle warning being 6, 4 through 8, which is kind of cool if you look at it from a chiasm perspective. So this is the central warning passage of the book. So there are 5 total. The next one is 10, 26 through 29, I think, right here. So this is the 4th one. And then the 5th one is like 12:25. Yep, 12:25. So those are other cool ways of looking at it. These are the warning passages. There's an alternative pattern, and I think everybody agrees with George Guthrie on the fact that there is, when you do a discourse analysis, there's a change in speech between his argumentative portions and then his exhortatory portions. It's just a question of how to incorporate that into the overall structure that everybody disagrees on. Okay, let's go to the exordium. I just before I go into this, I want to say that I love the chiasm here that Bobby Jameson points out, and it's way better than the other ones I've seen. So he sees, if you look at it from the perspective of time, you see it pretty easily. So he whom he appointed heir of all things. This is an oblique reference, I think, to what he talks about down here, right? That this happens after the resurrection, appointed heir of all things, through whom he created the world. So you're going back in the words in time, right? This is the creation of the world. He is the radiance and the glory of God, the exact imprint of his nature. Well, when did that happen? That's always been, right? So this is from eternity past. He upholds the universe by the word of his power. Well, the universe has to exist for that to happen. So this is at least within time, okay? But this has always happened from the start of the universe. This is part of his cosmic function. So 2 and 4 are definitely parallel to each other. And then 5 and 6, after making for purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. This one is parallel to this point here, whom he appointed the heir of all things. This is happening within the economy, right? And so that's like the main theme there. There is, some people want to say that this portion here refers to his prophetic office. I don't think you need to do that. You can just see it here. He's spoken to us through his son by the prophets, is contrasted with the son. So you get that idea. And then obviously here, making purification for sins, that's a priestly idea. Sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, that is a kingly idea. This word, having become as much more superior to angels, is an aorist participle, and it could be translated as becoming much superior to the angels. So he sat down at the right hand of. So the point that Bobby Jameson makes is that these are happening at the same time. Okay, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. That happened at a point in time, right? Becoming as much superior to the angels. Becoming much superior to the angels happened whenever this happened, right? As a name he has inherited is much more excellent than theirs. And so that inheritance of the name happens at the same time. And so what does it mean that, he can, if he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, then why is he becoming much superior to the angels? And, you have to wrestle with this later on because he is subjected to the angels for a little while, right? Bobby Jameson makes a point that this gar here is a logical link with 1:4. 4 to which of the angels did he ever say, "You are my son"? So if he's saying, as a name he has inherited is more excellent than theirs, 4 to which of the angels did God ever say, "You are my son"? There's good reason to think that maybe we have a title going on here of son being applied to Jesus, right, at a certain point in the economy. But the point that Bobby Jameson makes the whole way through here, and he has to pull in Cyril of Alexandria. Typically, when you think of partitive exegesis, you just think, is this predicated on his human nature or his divine nature? But Cyril of Alexandria says there are certain things that are predicated on his divine nature, but he only accomplishes as a human. And I think that's really interesting and really important. So he's saying here, these things happen as he is a human, but could only happen predicated on his divinity, right? So he receives the worship of the angels as a human, predicated on his divinity, and it could have only happened through his divinity. So that, whereas George Guthrie's main point that the angels are in view here, just as a contrast to see the greater importance of paying attention to the word now, which was given by Jesus, who is greater than angels, because the old covenant was given by angels, this one was given by Jesus. That's kind of George Guthrie's idea for why angels are such a big deal here, not just angelology being a thing of the Hebrews. Bobby Jameson really sees angels as a foil to demonstrate these attributes of the Christology that he's trying to portray here, as the Son, the eternal Son, became man. Became the Son. Bobby Jameson mentions like 3 places where the words, appointed us by his Son, I forget where. So somewhere here, this one was talking about his eternal state or whatever. Yeah, so let me just finish this out really quick. I'll just try to race through here. I might come back to this later on, but I need to get on to other stuff in the day. The main thing that I want to go through here is that there are 3 main sections here, which all have to do with this aspect. There's a sandwich, if you will. This one here is dealing with the enthronement. This is the top bread. Here is the middle meat, dealing with the fact that the Son is God and the throne is God's. And then this one here is the bottom piece of bread, dealing with the enthronement. And the first 2 times you have 2 quotations from the Father to the Son, contrasted with 1 to the angels. And then you have another one to the angels, contrasted with 2 quotes from the Father to the Son. And then you have a quote from the Father to the Son, contrasted with a statement about the angels. Okay, and so these are clearly talking about the enthronement. Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. For are they not all ministering servants sent out to serve for the sake of those who are inherit salvation? This is dealing with the office here, right? And another one that everybody recognizes, this one, 1:5, clearly, for to which of the angels did God ever say? For to which of the angels did God ever say? So it's another reason to see these 2 sections as linked. Okay, so the question then is, where is the meat starting? And George Guthrie wants to see there being a verbal analogy between son, and then angels and angels. This could be a Janus in some respect, maybe, but I like this, where you see the 2 quotes, angels, angels, 2 quotes. It's kind of cool. Here, the point here is the mutability versus the immutability. And I don't know why I never saw this until reading the Paradox of Sonship, but okay, so yeah, so some people see these 3 names, Lord, God, and Son, and they say, so the name really can't just be limited to Son. But here I think he's trying to say that these 2 names are intrinsic to the meaning of Son. He's just trying to explain what Son predicates. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I needed to talk more on this. That's probably good enough for now.